Thank you.
Mas should I bet even for whole Usada.
And fuck Usada, is what he says, and then he goes on to elaborate.
The guy went to my bedroom 7 a.m. and was asking the way to take my blood. Usada.
They come in my bedroom at 7 a.m. to take my blood. Jesus. And fuck Usada while he's walking out with a bottle that is labeled secret juice, bro. Like, could you get a more fucking hilarious outcome than this? What's up, guys? Derek, moreplates.com. Today we are going to be talking about Paulo, King of Bitches Costa. Indeed, this guy is a berserker and somebody who is very entertaining to watch fight. I've talked about him on the channel numerous times. I had this video pop off about what I think he takes. This was back before his Adesanya fight, where he ended up having his first defeat, which was, you know, a wild fight to watch, because, you know, you would think he would have just, you know, pressed forward and tried to pressure the shit out of him, and instead looked extremely timid and got essentially goddamn dismantled, like literally picked apart by a fucking sniper of a human, which is Adesanya's, like, you know, well, that was actually the fight also where Adesanya showed up with the brutal gynecomastia manifestation out of nowhere, where, you know, people also thought, and there's very good evidence to suggest it, that he was the one who might have been cranking the fucking Sazul in addition or alternatively to Costa. So anyways, that was a pretty interesting turn of events, and seeing Costa get his first loss and get his ass handed to him and literally like butt fucked at the end of it was, you know, probably a pretty big hit to his ego, I would imagine. And he ended up going on a kind of like a streak of not great publicity and just, you know, his, you know, whining and shit, when he should have just like buckled down and put in the work and not really said anything, probably, because he ended up fighting Vettori and, you know, also losing. He also simultaneously had pretty bad hair loss, which fucking sucked, you know, having to deal with the, you know, that while you're also losing. You know, obviously for him, you know, the king of bitches, you want a sick hairline too. So he ended up getting a hair transplant recently, which we covered on the channel, and a lot of people use this as an indicator of, you know, the anabolic use potentially. Although he is in his 30s, and, you know, androgenic alopecia is very, very common for individuals even not on gear, to his defense. But, you know, obviously he's one of the most suspect guys in the league for sure. But he has never tested positive, although there is, you know, some finicky situations, which I dive into in elaborate detail in this video here. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. But anyways, he's had a pretty rough streak with, you know, bad cycle or too much wine. He gets really fucking fat in the off season, to be honest, like bulks up like crazy. And then, you know, recently he was 26 pounds overweight 2 days out. Not good, you know. And then Dana White, I believe, went on record to say, like, you're never fighting middleweight again. You can't make weight. And, like, obviously people are, you know, not happy when you know, disrespect the sport like that and don't take it, you know, seriously enough to get into shape for your weight division. And then you, like, put your, you know, opponent in a weird spot. So anyways, he is actually down to making weight again at 185, believe it or not. He actually is fighting Luke Rockhold today, which I'm fucking stoked about. And this event is nuts, bro. Like, I have not been looking forward to this stacked of a card for a while, just like a big roster of guys that I want to watch. But anyways, he talked about, you know, him being, he has some very strong words about Usada, which is interesting given him having, like, you know, one of the biggest fucking targets on his back for potentially doping, which we'll get into shortly, because the weigh-ins were super interesting besides him actually making weight, which was nice to see. But, you know, apparently being drug tested in the middle of the night, there was, you know, an interesting situation around that. But let's get into that in a sec. He talks about here his weight cutting experience, and Paddy Pimblett gave him weight cutting instructions, which is another guy who turns into a fucking disaster blob in the offseason. So it should be, I haven't even watched this yet, so it should be interesting to hear what he says.
You also tweeted that you're the best looking man ever. And
that's a laugh, bro. That's a fucking laugh. I gotta hear that again.
Who would disagree?
And this weekend, you will beat number 2 or 3. Do you think Luke Rockhold is number 2?
Yes. I think. I think.
They scared.
Did Paddy Pimblett help you lose weight for this fight?
Yeah, he giving me some instruction. Man, look, if you look for me and Perry,
The two biggest weight cutters in the game, bro.
it's not joke no anymore, but we have a lot potential to cut a lot of weight on short time. When I saw Perry fight 2 weeks ago, I tweeted this. I say, man, this is short time to cut so much weight, but he did, and he did great, and me as well. So we knows how cut weight.
Paulo,
Yeah.
did it take a lot of convincing to get you back in the middleweight division? Not back in the middleweight division, but did it take a lot of convincing from for the UFC to allow you to fight at 185 pounds again?
No, I did nothing. I just say no. I will stay on 185. You know, it's a good question. Good to clarify. I knew I could not make 185 1 month before I fight Marvin. I had an injury in my left arm. I could not still train anymore. And to make 185, I need to train serious, you know, hard work. So I could not. And that's why I got here so heavy. You understand? I never miss a weight. I don't have a problem to make 185. You look now, I'm so lean. The weight is so low because I had no injuries, nothing. Of course, if you broke your tendon on your biceps, you cannot train more. So it's hard to cut weight if you cannot train, right? So that's why. And I say, no, I of course, I had no problem to make 185. So I am middleweight.
No problem, bro. And he's back with a sick new fucking hairline. This guy is back to King of Bitches status. He's at 185, shredded out of his fucking mind, and has a perfect hairline again. So I have high hopes. I have high hopes. Quick note from one of our sponsors. This is actually a new sponsor on the channel, and I very rarely am a betting guy on sports events, but when I have a stacked card to watch like this, I'll lay down some bets. We got the King of Bitches. We got Kamaru Usman. It's a stacked lineup, dude. And for this, my bookie reached out and wanted to sponsor me, and I've been kind of like putting it off until like a very, very like a time when I would actually bet on stuff comes up, and this is it, man. Kamaru Usman is 20-1. The heavy betting favorite going to UFC 278, long-awaited rematch with Leon Edwards. But regardless of who wins the fight, you too can walk away a winner with MyBookie. Make a deposit and you'll double your money at MyBookie. All you gotta do is use promo code MPMD to claim your deposit bonus dollar for dollar all the way up to $1,000. The link is in the video description below. MyBookie is the only sportsbook that gives you the skin and the picks to win, with dozens of predictions from real UFC fighters to make the most informed bet. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. So, like, in all seriousness, you know, that's like obviously part of the scripted part, but like for me, like I'm actually fucking stoked for this card, and I will be betting. So if you guys want to bet, you can check it out. Help support, you know, the growth of the channel too. And it's something that I am going to be setting aside a handful of hours to just chilling, enjoying it. And you know, if you guys want to do the same, yeah, you can check it out here and let me know who you guys are betting on. I got King of Bitches, bro. As well. I got Usman and King of Bitches for sure. So anyways, let me know what you guys are betting on in the comments down below, and back to the regularly scheduled programming. So anyways, he weighs in and he ends up shouting "fuck Usada" at the weigh-ins. That's something you would you expect this from him? I don't know. The guy has some funny takes, bro. Like his Twitter is comical. Like if you go down it, which we will in a sec. And he retweets all the funny shit and said like adds captions to it, but we'll go through the weigh-in first.
At number 6 ranked contender, Paulo Costa.
Like what a fucking difference, dude, when he actually makes weight. Like this guy blows up way too fucking much in the off season, dude. Like I don't know why, because it's not like he's really trying to pack on more muscle at that point. So are you just like that loose that you have like that lack of self-control? I don't know, because it's like you could easily be, you know, 20-25 pounds less than he is in peak off season, and you know, be within way closer to striking distance of actually getting ready for a fight, and probably inhibit your performance less from the aggressive cutting. So I don't get it. I don't get why he does it. You're not trying to actively pack on new tissue at this point. So you're basically just asserting that you are, you know, have poor dieting practices and you love to just fucking gorge yourself and eat super calorie dense foods. And I don't know. Like, obviously you have the willpower to get this lean to begin with, to actually step on the scale at this, but it's just, I don't know. It almost reminds me of like the bodybuilder cyclical yo-yo dieting, where it's like they'll be super fucking dialed for, you know, 12 to 16 weeks, reach show day, and immediately after start like pounding calories, blow back up with extreme amounts of water weight and fat. Within a few weeks, you don't even realize they're like a fucking bodybuilder anymore, and they look like the Michelin Man or Pillsbury Doughboy. Like this guy, I don't know what it is, you know? Like, if you love to eat, I guess, sure, whatever. But I mean, there's like a reasonable amount of weight to gain where it's not like you are like fucking with your career. Because this is like part of his career is making this weight. So I don't get it, man.
Paulo! Get done. To your left. Yes, sir. To your left, go. Let's go! 185 and a half.
185 and a half, the official weight for Paulo Costa.
Fucking death face chiseled, bro.
Let's go!
Thank you.
Racer!
Thank you.
Mas should I bet even for whole that ball and fuck Usada.
And fuck Usada, is what he says. And then he goes on to elaborate.
The guy went to my bedroom 7 a.m. and was asking the way to take my boots. Fuck Usada.
They come in my bedroom at 7 a.m. to take my blood. Jesus. And fuck Usada while he's walking out with a bottle that is labeled secret juice, bro. Like, could you get a more fucking hilarious outcome than this?
The guy went to my bedroom 7 a.m. and was asking the way to take my boots. Fuck Usada.
Oh my god, bro.
All right, next.
And he steps off the stage with his fucking secret juice, bro. Like, that is, you couldn't get more funny than that. This is, that was actually a post made, by the way, too, by, I think it was MMA, Cosmic MMA. Only in MMA can you have a man saying fuck you to an anti-doping agency while holding a bottle that says secret juice. It does not get any better than that, my friends. So anyways, he, you know, it's kind of funny too, because he shows up to this. There's so many weird things he does that are just like, I don't know if it's just like, you know, how quirky he is and shit, or I don't watch a ton of the ceremonial weigh-ins, to be honest, so maybe I missed this part. But even when he's walking up, like, he just says such like wacky shit sometimes, and he like goes up, he shakes Rogan's hand, and then he goes on to shake every single ring girl's hand as well. I think it's respectful, I guess, but I don't know. Is that normal? Like, to me, it just looked kind of like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever actually noticed that, to be honest. And here's Dana looking fucking lean and trim. So the wild thing is how he's probably going to step in the ring at like 210 or something. I forget what it was during the, one of my favorite fights of all time. He fought, it was Paulo versus Romero, and holy shit, dude. They both, you know, sucked down to 185 and then super compensate up to like 205 to 215 or something wild. So I think Costa was the higher weight too. He was at like in the 210s or something. I'd have to go revisit it to find out, but it was like, you know, gaining like super compensating like over 20, 25 pounds like overnight and stepping in the ring just looking like hyper fucking loaded whilst being lean still, just like nutty. It's like watching a goddamn like physique model fight somebody, and it's a wildly entertaining dude. And that's where we get into his Twitter now. UFC tweeting with his secret juice in hand. He is easily in at 185.5. It's like so funny how they just like even make a joke. They're like the official fucking league, and they're just like making fun of the secret juice, bro. Fuck the boss on Usada, who sent their agents this morning at my sleep room 6 a.m. to take my blood out. I was cutting weight, very dehydrated, and they took my blood? Fuck those guys. I've never been caught by USADA test. I don't need this fuck shit. Man. If you acted more professional in the past, they wouldn't be on you. You've missed weight and fought drunk, allegedly. What do you expect? Then don't cut the weight and go fight your natural weight, light heavyweight. Simple as that. Nobody push you guys to cut the weight and have advantage on fight day. You've never been caught crying, laughing face, rolling fucking over. You might want to rephrase that. Given it's not your first language, you'll get the benefit of the doubt, I hope. So yeah, you know, they take his blood because pretty obviously this guy looks like one of the most saucy guys in the league. So I'm not surprised. They want to catch him. You know, when would it be most useful to be, you know, performance enhancing yourself? Like right around a fight, obviously. So for him, he's trying to make a big comeback. The guy's historically one of the sauciest looking dudes in the league. So of course, you know, to not get expected to be drug tested a day out when you could be otherwise leveraging, like, I don't know, something that is, you know, blood building, or something that is going to enhance your endurance in some capacity, or something that's going to help you, you know, lose weight too. You know, these are all things that are going to be assessed, and we can get into some of the drug test parameters shortly, but I want to finish some of these tweets, bro. This one. Secret juice always with me. Fire emoji. He doesn't give a fuck. This was the same picture. Only in MMA can you say fuck you while having the secret juice. Yeah. It's just like the funniest look, bro. Like, just like fuck you holding this thing in his left hand. Secret juice always with me. Gotta trademark that shit. Is accusing me of using steroids your best excuse for get knocked out cold? Sorry, but it's on and off. See you later. Thumbs up. Pointing at you, bitch. Luke Rockhold, that is him, you know, coming at Costa. Good to know you've never been caught using steroids, you stupid fuck. Pretty aggressive. And Costa, you know, coming in hot himself. And yeah, some of these, like, honestly, bro, if you want to laugh, you can just go look at some of these, and he just retweets them all. If you tell me what's in secret juice, I will let you sex any ring girl you want. And if you KO this old fucker, I will strip gay Izzy boy and make you champion. And by the way, you are hottest fighter, no doubt, no debate. Dana White. And he's just fucking smirking. I agree. Shaking hand emoji. If you knock this kid out, we'll triple your pay. Let you fight at whatever weight you want until you decide to stop fucking with you. Dana White. Probably. UFC 278. Yeah, and he doesn't give a fuck, dude. Patio's jealous, sorry. Yeah, so anyway, you can check out some of these if you want entertainment. So anyway, what would they be drug testing him for in particular a day out with blood? Because typically these guys are going to be urine tested. Not usually are they blood tested concurrently. Many fighters have come out, very prominent ones too, that have said how rare it is for them to get blood tested. But Paulo, you know, one of the sauciest looking guys in the league right before, is trying to make a big comeback, as you would expect. And he's actually making weight this time. You know, they're trying to see what's up. And also a guy who historically gasses out in the later rounds, you're going to want to, you know, check if he is using any blood building agents would be probably the primary thing I would imagine they are trying to find. So again, obviously you could be doing like an HGH isoform differential immunoassay, trying to assess if he's using growth hormone. But I mean, that to me is not something I would imagine he would be leveraging this close to a competition, like something that is going to add pounds of like essentially water weight that's not going to be conducive to getting to 185. It's highly unlikely he would have that in the system. I'm not doubting that's involved in his regimen. You know, it's nearly fucking impossible to test for GH, at least with the current biomarkers they're using, or lack thereof. They should be using biomarkers like IGF-1 and whatnot, because those are more long-lasting indicators, in my opinion, than the isoform differential immunoassay, which is like, if you don't catch it within like a very short window of time, you're not going to get it. And even if you do within a short window of time, it's still finicky. Like I remember it was who was that fucking guy in the heavyweight division? Krokop, I think. He like literally admitted to taking GH, was drug tested, but didn't even pop for HGH on the drug test, even though he admitted to using GH. So he ended up, you know, having a suspension or something that he had to deal with because of that. But, you know, technically, he never even tested positive, if I recall correctly. So it's a very, very unreliable test modality, and there's highly doubtful he would have been using this. But that's typically, you know, one of the things they would be testing in blood for. However, the main thing that would be useful to know for him, the hematology module for them. Like there was the steroidal module for the biological passports or urine analysis, but for the hematology assessment of longitudinal data aberrations, that would be what you would want to know for him in particular. So this would be assessing his red blood cell count, his hematocrit, hemoglobin, reticulocytes. These are things that are going to be indicative if he has been using something like a erythropoietin recombinant erythropoietins like TJ Dillashaw, or some sort of like, blood, transfusions or something of this nature. Because if you catch a aberrant, like a weird red flag of fluctuations of these hematology biomarkers, you're going to be able to tell like, this guy is, probably trying to enhance his oxygen carrying capacity right before a big fight. And if you've been, cutting weight aggressively, like this guy loses so much fucking weight. Like you can imagine this is going to hit his hematology, his red blood cell count, like everything's going to be pretty aggressively hit when you were cutting this much weight so fast. So of course it would be worthwhile to be testing him this close to the competition, because you would want to know if he is trying to offset that, through some sort of exogenous means, or through, autologous blood transfusion or something like that. So for him, again, how accurate are these tests though at the end of the day? And would you be able to even catch somebody if they were microdosing or if they were using blood transfusions, Maybe, but it's finicky. This is a study that is worth noting that is literally trying to assess like recombinant EPO administration too, not even using your own blood, which is, essentially undetectable if you are somebody who is very aware of your longitudinal data and what your like data point like thresholds are essentially. But anyways, current markers of the athlete blood passport do not flag microdose EPO doping. This was an assessment of the blood passport used by Usada and the UFC to assess for EPO administration, and what they found by the end of it, I'll just skip to the conclusion so this video doesn't get too long-winded. There is a substantial financial burden, significant logistical obstacles associated with collecting, transporting, and analyzing fresh blood samples in compliance with WADA guidelines. Meanwhile, anecdotal evidence and admissions from several athletes suggest that athletes have already learned to avoid detection by using small, frequent injections of recombinant EPO. Our findings demonstrate that it is possible to inject EPO without triggering passport thresholds. So again, and this is like, if you're a guy who is very, very dialed, you know exactly what goes into USADA's testing parameters. You are somebody who has been there since the beginning. You have a good, team on your side. You don't even live in the fucking States. You live in an area where there is, significant political fuckery potentially. There's obviously some leeway potential. Our findings, and that's why they continuously study this shit to try and dial in their stuff more. Presumably, obviously there's, some political, conspiracy theories and stuff that go along with this stuff too. But at the end of the day, like the literature is pretty clear that with microdosing and certain modulating of actual like endogenous hormones, you can get around this shit still. Because again, these things are supposed to be in your body. If you're assessing for like testosterone administration or something like EPO and like blood building capabilities or, HGH, like you actually produce these hormones in your body. So it gets really finicky when you're trying to, differentiate between recombinant versus actual like endogenously produced naturally, as well as do you, have a spike that is aberrant enough to look like it's a red flag versus, do you even have enough longitudinal data to assess that? Or is the guy's longitudinal data tainted because from day one, he knew exactly what he was fucking doing and was doing his blood draws himself too to assess what his, aberrations would be if he was tested. It's not that hard to go get a blood draw, dude, and do this shit yourself. Like you can check your hematology for like, I don't know, like very cheap. There are a lot of self-service labs that you can go get a hematology module done extremely cheap. Merrick Health, link in description if you want to do it your fucking self. I'm not saying for this purpose, I'm saying for assessing your actual health. But anyways, we have the cheapest self-service labs in the country, by the way. And I am very happy to have that service on our site. So you can check that out too, if you're interested in assessing your health through diagnostics. Subtle plug, shameless. Anyways, our findings demonstrate that it is possible to inject EPO without triggering passport thresholds. On one hand, this underlines the need to retain existing analytical procedures, direct detection, in support of the athlete blood passport, and on the other hand, emphasizes the need for recruitment of novel strategies to hopefully close current loopholes. Pretty fucking damning statement. We need to close the loopholes, bro. Yeah, so anyway, typically if you would actually flag for your blood passport, they would then further test your samples for EPO administration and try and differentiate between endogenous and recombinant. But even then, there is designer drugs that are continuously being refined to actually get around even this detection at the highest level where you would be like, a TJ Dillashaw getting popped, for example. Yeah, so I understand why they would do this. It's totally reasonable, especially given exactly what would be the most helpful for him in his current position, in my opinion. Like, this would be something I would be, if I was a, drug tester, I would 100% be showing up at Costa's room in the middle of the fucking night and being like, hey, bro, like, let's test your blood. Obviously, I would be testing for, just EPO straight up too, and other things. But for him, with what they can work with budget-wise, it's totally understandable why they would do a, blood draw to assess, red blood cell count, hematocrit, hemoglobin, reticulocytes, etc. So anyways, I'm looking forward to the fight tomorrow. Hopefully you guys are too. It's gonna be it's a fucking stacked card. I am setting aside multiple hours to just chill, watch it, enjoy it, and hopefully, it's lives up to the hype. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All the comments help the algorithm. Much appreciated. Like, subscribe. Check out my blog, moreplates.com. Follow me on Instagram, moreplates, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My preventative medicine hormone replacement therapy platform. I mentioned it briefly in my shameless plug. You can get high quality and elaborate diagnostics as well as targeted recommendations from very educated and up to date on the literature medical providers and doctors who pride themselves on staying as on top of the literature as I try to on this channel. And like I said, get targeted recommendations, not just from like a hormone replacement standpoint. We do oversee the care of naturals or individuals who are just trying to optimize their vitality, quality of life, biomarker balance, ratios, mental clarity, performance, like everything under the sun. We try to be as turnkey as possible. And a lot of our recommendations have to do with, natural supplementation, dietary modulation, sleep hygiene, like very basic natural stuff. And it's not always just about drugs, but of course, if pharmacology is warranted, then having a high quality doctor in your camp to oversee it is absolutely fucking crucial, especially if you're on HRT. You don't want to be with one of these cookie cutter clinics that just haphazardly throws you on a cookie cutter protocol that they give everyone and kick them out the door to make a markup on medications. We pride ourselves on the actual lab visits, the blood work, the diagnostics. Like, that's where the bread and butter of our money is made. So we, at the end of the day, if you get on meds or not, it's not the biggest deal. Unlike with some, companies, that's literally how they make their fucking living. So anyways, there are other good companies out there too, to be clear. It's not like we're the only ones, I feel like, that are doing things right. But in addition to that, self-service labs, if you just want to check your bloods yourself, highly recommend everyone get an elaborate blood test, even if you're young and presumably very healthy. Worthwhile. Having a baseline, you'll wish you had it years later. So then if something goes wrong, you can look back on that elaborate panel you got and see exactly what is fucked up. I wish I did that when I was younger too. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about putting out educational material now, is stuff I wish I learned back then that I'm then trying to impart on, whoever wants to follow it and educate themselves about the shit I'm interested in nowadays. So anyways, you can check that out, and anything else I'm associated with, it's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.